Welcome back to One Life Radio. This is Bernadette with Danny Miles and my special guest today, Linton Bergsen, author of Purposeful Vision. See your vision, know your purpose. Linton is a sought-after speaker, author, and champion of change, and inspired communicator and strategist. And I'm just thrilled to have you on the show. Linton, welcome to One Life Radio.
And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I was reading your book last night. Actually, I've been carrying it around for weeks, but I really got really deep into it last night. And so many things that you write appealed to me on so many levels. But before we get there, I want to ask you, what inspired you to write this book?
That's a great question, and many people have asked me that. I was actually asked to write the book by many people. For years, I've been involved in leadership and management training with top organizations and people. And I have assisted them to realize their vision and how they do that. And people ask me to put my thoughts down on paper. And so I decided to do so, and hence we have this book.
Well, in the book you talk about personal culture. What is personal culture?
Personal culture is the people and situations that you surround yourself with, your environment. In other words, if you're trying to achieve something and accomplish something, you have to be very mindful of the people that you surround yourself with. Mm-hmm. You don't want to surround yourself with naysayers who shoot you down before you get started. So you want to make sure at all times that the people around you are supportive as much as they can be, mm-hmm. and love you and care about you from a genuine place.
I can remember my parents saying, you become who you hang with. Mm-hmm.
That's very true. Yeah, they're saying, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah. Or if you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas, or there's a whole bunch of them,
Exactly right. Yeah.
So how does this determine how dreams and goals are manifested?
Because you are at all times, in my opinion, I mentioned in my book, involved in three states of consciousness: superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. And the superconscious state allows you to imagine or dream what could be possible in your life. Relating it back to your personal culture, if that was your question, if you have a dream and you have a thought and you have a vision and you want to bring it into your personal life and people then shoot you down in the conscious world, you're done before you get started.
Mm-hmm. And, I just was thinking about people that are naysayers. What do you say about naysayers? How do you handle people like that?
It's a choice. It's a choice to keep them in your life. If people are projecting on you what their limitations are and what you should or shouldn't do, then again it comes back to the previous question of personal culture. Do you want them around in your life? Do you allow them, once again, three states of consciousness, in your subconscious, do you allow that tape in your subconscious to keep playing and allowing them to tell you what you could or could not be? Or do you play your own tape and establish your life on your terms?
How did you personally tap into your subconscious? Because I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they're like, they don't really know how to do that, or they don't really know what it means.
Well, the first thing is, Bernadette, it's not the subconscious I tap into, first of all. I tap into the superconscious, because the superconscious is where I begin to have inklings and imagination and feelings. It's that state of the intangible. When I tap into that, I begin to realize, this may be possible if I go down this road. And then I begin to have an intuitive sense. A little voice begins to talk to me and guide me down that road. And then after that, I tap into the subconscious, which is my past experiences that I relate to what I've done before and what's possible for me to do in the future.
Yeah, and in the book you talk about fear and luck, and it is an acronym, FEAR and LUCK. What do those stand for, and can you give some examples of these?
Yes, the fear is false evidence appearing real, which means that we get anxious about things that haven't happened, the what if, the false evidence. It hasn't happened yet, so why are we worrying about things that haven't manifested? So when you want to make anything happen, have a dream come into reality, you have to overcome fear. And the main reason we don't overcome fear is because we're worrying about what may happen if we try something. That's the what if, that's the false evidence.
Yeah, it's so true. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead.
And luck is living under correct knowledge, which really is wisdom and common sense, which means if you want to achieve something, you have to understand how to set a goal, how you meet that goal, and what is required to make that come to fruition. In other words, you have to have self-discipline. You have to be able to say that you won't do this instead of doing something else to meet that goal. So you have to have wisdom about the principles involved in meeting a goal, and then you're living under correct knowledge, and people say, well, you're lucky to have achieved this. No, you weren't. You lived under correct knowledge to achieve it.
Well, when you just talked about that, it made me think of in chapter 5. Your personal culture will determine your dreams and your goals, how they're manifested, and discipline, in my opinion, is one of the absolute essential keys to success. Along with what you talk about, the power of consistency and pursuing excellence. It's like you were preaching to the choir in this book to me, because consistency, in my opinion, is also the key to success. And anything worth doing is worth doing well. So let's talk about those fundamental principles in Chapter 5. Your personal culture will determine your dreams and goals, how they're or whether or not they're manifested.
Because once again, the consistency that you're talking about is determined by your support system. So if you hit a road, if you hit a block, and you can't get through it, and you need to speak to someone about what do I do to get through this, you may have someone in your personal culture that you can go and speak with. But if that personal culture is filled with naysayers, who are you going to go and speak with?
I don't know. Who?
No one.
Yourself.
You haven't established a personal culture that allows you to have a reference point.
Yeah.
So you'll get back to that place of not being able to go forward. You won't have the support system around you to do it. So you have to decide who it is you want to put around you as your reference point to go to when you hit a roadblock and say, can you help me?
Yeah, and let's talk about pursuing excellence, which is one of my favorite subjects. The book In Search of Excellence is an old business book that I've used for years, and I pick it up occasionally and just read it because it's such a good read and full of a lot of knowledge.
Excellence is doing the best you can do. And I don't mean fooling yourself to believe that you're doing your best. I mean really, really doing your best. And as Aristotle said, I mentioned it in my book, that becomes a habit. So excellence is not an act, it's a habit. So when you begin to do everything you can do, the best you can do it, and you're honest with yourself about it, then you are coming from a place of excellence.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that's what excellence is.
Absolutely. And if you would allow me, I would love to read this out of your book. I put big stars around it because I just thought it was so well written, that excellence is an art won by training and habituation. We do not act rightly because we have virtue or excellence, but we rather than those because we have acted rightly. And I just love this. We are what we repeatedly do. Mm-hmm. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit, as you said.
It's absolutely true. And if we repeat something over and over again, it becomes a habit. So people ask me, how do I reprogram my subconscious mind? How do I reprogram the talk that has been put there or I have chosen to believe over my life? It's replace it with different habits and different acts repeatedly, and then they become part of your new life.
So simple and yet so powerful.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, so what are the differences between actual state and ideal state or versus ideal state?
That's a great question once again, and I tell people this a lot. The actual state is where you are now. The ideal state is where you'd like to be, and then there's a measurement. There's a gap between where you are now and where you'd like to be. But if you don't know where you are now, obviously, and where you'd like to be, you can't measure that gap on what's involved in getting from A to B.
I just love all the messages that you're giving my listeners. I know they're enjoying it like I am, and we're almost out of time, but I want to address this one thing in your book about Purposeful Vision. The name of the book, everyone out there listening, is Purposeful Vision. See your vision, know your purpose. Linton Bergsen, Bergsen. We'll put it out on our Facebook and Instagram, Twitter as well. But before we go off the air here, or not off the air, but to our next segment, it says, no room for fear. Happiness is never acting from despair or depression.
Yeah, happiness is a state of mind that allows you to have hope and the ability to act in situations in adversity, that you understand that you can come to a point where you're looking for a solution and you're not acting from despair. Always look for a solution. Always listen to that little voice inside of you that's guiding you. And if you're looking for solutions and you're moving forward in the greatest adversity, you'll find yourself being happier than if you're waddling in despair and desperation. Because if you move forward, you have hope. And hope brings happiness because you don't know the outcome yet. At least you're trying to do something about something.
Absolutely. Let me just read this little bit out of your book, and then we got to go to break. And I appreciate you being on the show so much, Linton. Thank you again. It says, looking for solutions empowers us. And when we feel empowered, we automatically feel better about ourselves. We feel happier, even if the situation has not been resolved. Thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you for having me on your show. I sincerely appreciate it.
Have a great day. You're listening to One Life Radio. We'll be right back.